there's you know, actually reading about like Ray Kurzweil and the singularity, his idea about singularity was like very influential on me.
You read that book, Singularity is Near?
I read like a summary of it. I don't think I even read the whole thing,
Nice.
but the
Props
idea
to admitting that. Nice.
yeah, but the idea was very influential. Um, so there's actually a blog post I put out called like 15 books that changed the way I think. And that's my good list.
Yeah, I didn't find that for some reason. I gotta go back.
Yeah, it's on Medium somewhere.
It's on Medium somewhere. Okay, cool. I gotta check that out. It's weird because when I started this YouTube channel, I was all about the singularity is near. We got to get more people to do it.
Yeah,
and it's weird because after being so into these statistics system that can love and feel emotions in the way that we do. And it's weird because if you look at like the head of OpenAI, I just today I responded to, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Wojciech Zaremba. He was saying like AGI will have an example of causal reasoning, and then we'll talk about AGI will happen for sure. Until then, it's speculation.
Right.
But yeah, I hope the singularity happens. I hope that we create a system that can solve all of our immense problems in the world, like climate change and all of these existential threats. But yeah, I think Kurzweil's writing was pretty interesting. Have you met him before?
No, not really. I've seen him give talks and stuff. But yeah, I agree with you. I think their singularity can get a little weird in the sense that it's like it's going to happen so soon, like, and then it feels like it's the boy who cried wolf or something.
Yeah.
And then also it starts to feel like it's like a religion at some point, which I think the more just normal version of it is that the main insight from Kurzweil that I really liked was that it's not just that technology is improving things, which seems relatively obvious if you think about fire and this. We're all wearing shoes. People think of these things as technology is like iPhones. We're addicted to it. It's like, well, I wear shoes every day. That was like technology.
That's true. That's true.
But the main insight he had was that it's not just improving, it's accelerating. That was like the main insight, just made up of a bunch of participants all over the world who can run some software on their computer. And digital currency is kind of like an electronic version of money. You could think of it like currency that's native to the internet. So instead of sending around, made up points or some dollars that's specific to one country, the internet is inherently global, so it might as well have a global currency, and that's what Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency.
Well said, well said. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I've been in the space for a couple of years, and so I can only imagine what your emotions must have been when you saw that the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, tweeted about Bitcoin. I went wild in different ways, but I want to start with you. Like, I know you responded to it on Twitter, but what was your initial emotional reaction when you saw that?
Yeah, I mean, I was excited actually. The government over the years, there's kind of just been a series of milestones where crypto has, initially people are kind of scared of it, or they laugh at it, and they think it's a toy, and then they they get they want to actually block it, or they get scared of it, and then eventually they start to see the potential of it and they slowly adopt it. So it's almost like going through like the stages of grief where you're like bargaining, acceptance, or whatever. So I've seen a lot of people go through this over the years. Jamie Dimon's going through his own path to realize that. We've had many interactions very positive interactions, with the Treasury and the SEC and various regulators and the IRS and people like that. We're just, as a company in 2012, we made a really conscious decision that we wanted to proactively go reach out to regulators and banks and educate them about this technology. And so we were sort of like the legitimate people who would suit up periodically and go to these meetings and just kind of explain it. And usually, I can't tell you how many meetings I went to where, people were like, kind of didn't even want to meet with us until somebody they trusted convinced them, all right, I'll take a meeting with these crazy crypto people. And then we showed up, and an hour later, they were like, well, I still don't, I trust this a little bit more. So anyway, long way of saying we've been doing many, many meetings like this over many years. And finally, it got to be the president of the United States. I had like I'd always dreamt that would happen eventually. Like the president of the United States would eventually have to respond in some way to growing cryptocurrency usage. And of course, he has kind of a conflict because the US dollar is sort of like their own their own product. So everyone's kind of talking their own book. I'm talking my own book. Like I'm into crypto. Of course, Bitcoin is not our product. It's a totally globally decentralized thing. But the U.S. president, I would expect to pitch their own book, dollars, and I would expect every other country to pitch their own thing. So I just think of it as like it was a cool little milestone on the way to the world getting more interested and educated on crypto.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like, even though it was negative, I was elated. I was just like, oh my God, it's rare to see a tweet that's so exciting. The fact that he even mentioned it was super exciting. And you spend some time on Twitter, right? Like you tweet, and how active would you say you are on Twitter?
Oh, I mean, I probably tweet like a couple times a week. I have kind of this love-hate relationship with Twitter. I mean, I love that I'm able just to read thoughts from really interesting people who I follow, and it's like very intellectually stimulating. I learn a lot from it. I'm always a little bit, I'd say over the years, I've gotten like a little more authentic on Twitter, just like putting out my own stuff. Occasionally I put something out and there's just so many angry people that like respond. So I have a kind of a policy of like, I just never read the replies. A lot of people engage on Twitter and their followers are somehow nicer or something. So they can actually like do Q&A and dialogue, and it's actually a real live discussion. I've been being more authentic, but I try to actually never read the comments.
Yeah, that's super smart. I've been looking at some of the replies. They are brutal. Like, because it's not even about, I mean, it's not even about you. It's about their own, people are just in a dark place sometimes. And yeah, it's crazy because there's money involved. That's the real difference.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody owns like their favorite coin or whatever.